again. It's March 2019, Dadhichi here from astrology.com.au. I wanted to address the issue of karma, just as an introduction to this month's current karma for each of the 12 star signs. And it is an unfolding of karma that we look at when we study a horoscope. It is, not just a bunch of planets. They are representative of certain predispositions in an individual. You are born with an aggregate of what we call karmas, prarabdha karma, as the Hindu scriptures refer to them. A bundle of karma, a balance sheet of assets and liabilities, spiritual assets and liabilities, but that also equates to the material conditions we find ourselves in. But I want to address the issue not so much from the vantage point of tit for tat or an eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth, what goes round comes round. I want to talk more, and I have in the past, about the issue of karma being primarily related to intention. The intention of karma, and an understanding that what we do is not necessarily the deciding factor in terms of whether the karma is good or bad or otherwise. It has to do more with the intention, the motivation behind what you do. This month Venus moves into the sign of Aquarius, and I'm going to talk about how this relates to each of the different star signs. Each of the planets is somewhat interchangeable depending on the sun sign or rising sign or lunar sign. Venus is most beneficial to Taurus, Libra, Gemini, Virgo, Capricorn and Aquarius. These signs enjoy the benefits of Venus being what we call a benefic, a bestower of good karma. And the remaining signs will have difficulty with this particular planet, as it is either an enemy or not particularly friendly to the star sign in question. Now there's another angle on this too. We often think that the best planets are going to bring us the best karma, but that's not always the case. And you can see that very, very clearly in terms of Venus ruling the natural second house of the zodiac, being the finance aspect of one's life, the material values and the income that one can earn from that planet. Actually, it's not always a blessing to even win the lottery. We find many people commit suicide after winning the lottery. They just can't cope with it. Just because you win money doesn't mean you're able to manage it. The vast majority of people who win money end up back where they were after spending it all, because they haven't learned the art of managing or investing their cash. So that is where Venus can turn on you, as can any of the good planets. Incidentally, the good planets are considered to be Venus, Jupiter, the brightening moon, and a well-associated Mercury. The rest, according to Hindu astrology anyhow, are first-rate malefics and bring with them some big karmic liabilities. So we have to understand the nature of these planets, how they operate in each of our individual horoscopes, and more pertinently to our individual rising sign, because obviously in the readings I give here they are prepared for millions of people born under Aries, millions of people born under Taurus, so on and so forth. But the Hindu astrologers have an interesting viewpoint on, say, the 11th house of the horoscope, which is supposedly that part of the zodiac that fulfills all our dreams. And so, as an example, Venus will move into the 11th house for those of you born under the sign of Aries. And generally the usual regurgitation is, oh, wonderful, you're going to have excellent finances and you're going to make more money and you're going to have a whole lot of friends. And I'll probably say that in the reading for Aries today, that you're going to have an expansion of your friendships. And all that stuff may well be true, but the reason the Vedic astrologers and the Sanskrit scholars regarded this 11th house as untoward, you've got to ask yourself why. Because it brings me new friends, it gives me money, it fulfills all my worldly desires, and that's the problem. Because the worldly desires being fulfilled anchor you to the material samsara. The level of attachment grows as these desires are fulfilled. In other words, the more you fulfill those desires, the more you become attached to the thing that you desire, which makes it more and more difficult for you to escape this worldly realm with all its birth and rebirth, death, rebirth, so on and so forth. I tend to take the middle ground on that because that's one extreme view, that we must reject or renounce the world that we have been born into. That's one extreme view, what we would consider the conservative spiritual view, that we must renounce. We must be renunciates to become fully aware of our true nature. The other line of thought has to do with... Just let me turn that off for one moment and I'll finish this line of thought. Well, I was going to finish that line of thought until I forgot what my line of thought was. The other extreme side, that's right, was the one which says we embrace everything in this world and accept it as a projection of our own awareness, our own consciousness. Everything is really a projection of our own self. And in that sense, what is there to accept or reject? I remember a beautiful story one of my first mentors told me. He alluded to the fact that, and occasionally it happens, you bite your tongue. And he said, do you punch your teeth out when your teeth actually accidentally bite your tongue? Of course, you don't punch your teeth out. And his point was that the tongue and the teeth and the fist are all part of the one being. Likewise, this world, this objective universe that we see, it appears to be separate and distinct from ourselves, but in fact, according to this line of philosophy, is really part and parcel of our own being. It's a projection of ourselves. It is ourselves. And with that understanding, the question is, what is there really to accept or reject? It is all my own self. I like that view. That view, coupled with the understanding that the karma that we create comes more from intention, but also that what is happening right this moment, in this instant, is our karma. It is the unfolding of the backlog of assets and liabilities that we're born with. So I wanted to leave that thought with you. And if I end up talking in traditional ways, astrologically, about your stuff, you'll forgive me. Just remember what I've spoken of here, that yes, there are the superficial benefits and drawbacks of these planets and their aspects, but the underlying understanding should always be that all of this is part of the one play. All of this is what I call the great balancing act, the eternal accountant in the sky. Hang in here. I'm going to be doing the 12 star signs now. Thanks for joining me. Bye-bye.